Intellectual property refers to creations of the mind such as inventions, literary and artistic works, designs and symbols, names and images used commercially. It's 2020 and intellectual property and piracy still exists. The creators in the industry lament this loss. What are the ways to harness the full power of the creative industry? Up next, Ebuka chats with IP lawyer Nkechukwu Otike Odibi.
Welcome back. We're still talking about Nollywood, and I have here with me now an IP lawyer, Nkechukwu Otike Odibi. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Speaking about Nollywood now, and there's a lot of talk about piracy that still happens. I mean, it was a huge menace in the past when it was just strictly straight to home videos and DVDs and all of that. Now, the cinemas have helped a bit, but I mean, it doesn't mean that it's gone away. How bad are things now? And would you say, because for the longest time it was termed as the biggest problem for the creative industry in Nigeria, is that still the case?
It's still a very big problem, to be honest, because now a lot of money is invested into movies that are expected to go directly to cinema, but before these movies are in the cinema, someone in Alaba already has it. Yeah. And because nobody really knows where the holes are to plug them and how to plug them long term, so we still have a problem. Money is still leaking out.
Why is it so hard to plug, though?
Well, there are many tiny holes. Because what people assume is the problem is that before it gets to the cinema, or just as it's getting to the cinema staff, some of them are probably paid off, and they send movies down to their contacts in Alaba who mass produce it and then sell it off. So how do you know who is responsible, and how do you stop them?
Okay, so we talk piracy a lot and everybody knows it's a problem, but the solution has never really been sort of effective, for want of a better word. You're an IP lawyer. If I came to you with my piracy issues, what are you going to tell me? Because people just believe nothing can be done. There are not enough laws to back up, cases. What happens when there's a piracy issue and I need to tackle it?
Well, I wouldn't say there are not enough laws, to be honest, because there are laws. We have the Copyright Act. We actually have a copyright levy that allows you to pay a certain percentage of import fees to the Copyright Commission, which empowers them to then go after pirates. Okay. But this copyright levy is not enforced. So
enforcement as usual is the problem.
As always. So copyright levy is not enforced, no money is going to NCC. NCC doesn't have money to go after the pirates, and the police is not really interested because murder, piracy
it's not
it's not that serious for them.
So there's no winning, you're saying?
At the moment there isn't. We are really hoping for implementation of copyright levy and other laws so that the Copyright Commission now has more funding to go after these pirates. But to be honest, it's not as bad as it used to be. Now that movies and content is more accessible, we have YouTube, we have Yoroko TV, so people will have more access to the legitimate means. They don't actually need to go on the streets as much. But then there's still people who do need to go on the streets, so that's the issue.
Okay, away from piracy now, and COSON is a big talking point with regards to how music remuneration continues. You make your music, down the line you can still make money off of your music wherever it's played or streamed or whatever it is, because COSON sort of is there to make sure that happens. It doesn't seem like that happens with regards to the movie industry, especially with sort of deals or contracts that are done here. We had the guest earlier who were talking about how you make a movie in Nigeria and whichever channel or platform commissions it takes away 100% of the rights from you, and they own this, as against what happens in music. How can we start having that conversation there with regards to people who actually have intellectual property to own it?
Well, actually, there's supposed to be something similar to COSON for films, which is called AVRS, Audiovisual Rights Society, but they're not very active. Yeah. And also because the Nigerian movie industry is really still growing, still being structured, people are just trying to make as much money as they can. So the producers don't really want to say, okay, I don't even know how much I'm going to make before I start deciding to pay royalties to the actors. and things like that. And also with the agreements, which just what is usually paid is an upfront fee. But we're hoping that as the industry grows and becomes more structured, with more guilds actually enforcing welfare of actors and crew members, then these kinds of things come.
Because this is actually more on the commissioning, the channels or the platforms that commission these things. Is there a way to start having those conversations with them? Because a lot of producers you talk to actually want to own their stuff. But if you go meet someone and say, okay, can I put this on your platform? They say, yes, but I'm going to own it. How do we start changing that? I don't know if is it an IP lawyer conversation? Is it a guild conversation, you think?
I would think it would be a guild conversation, but everybody has a say in it. Yeah. So if the guilds are more active and saying, okay, we insist, but then how are they going to insist if some people are going to come out and say, oh, these people are insisting, no, but
just give me my
I'm not a back of them. So things like that. There's a lot of hunger in the land, so you can't really blame people for saying, okay, I appreciate you looking out for me, but I'm hungry and I just need to do what I have to do. Yeah. Things like that.
Cinemas as well. I mean, a lot of money comes from there now for a lot of people, thankfully. Not as much as we would want. People still say, oh, we need more screens in Nigeria. We have too few screens for the number of people here. But with the numbers of screens we even have here, there's still a lot of complaints I hear about percentage sharing. You know, sometimes I hear 60-40, 40 being for the filmmaker. And you're wondering, why does this happen? Is it because a lot of these guilds are really divided. So do you think that's where the issue is, where there's almost no sort of uniform voice fighting the fight?
Well, that actually plays a big part of it. And you can't also completely blame the cinema because they are running a lot of funds just to keep these movies going. And the cinema screens are not always full, so they don't want to make losses. But really, if we had more active guilds, at least people would be able to push for better percentages. Yeah. Because it's not always 60-40. It kind of dwindles as the movie stays longer in the cinema. So the longer it's in the cinema, the more the filmmaker gets. Yeah. But then less people are coming to see it at that point in time. So guilds, yeah, definitely. But also, like with everything, just more money going around.
What did music do right? Because it started like that with music. You'd have people who would produce albums, go to Alaba and sell it off, you know, and just take their money and go. Is it streaming? Is that what changed it for musicians?
Streaming, yes, and also because of the nature of music. Music is shorter, so you get more music for more money, if that makes sense. So
dealing with an individual, I guess.
Yes, and also there's been a lot of influx. There's been an influx of funding and attention to the Nigerian music industry. A while ago, they made it compulsory for radio stations to play a certain amount of Nigerian music. We don't really have that as much with film. We still have a lot of international films coming to the cinema, and they are making more of the money because Avengers versus the Nigerian movie, things like that are happening. But Nigerian movies are still doing well, and I think they're going to do better in future.
No, you're talking about the future now. What do you think the way forward is going to be? What do you think the conversations we'll be having in the next 3-5 years are? Because like I said with my previous guests, the streaming platforms are arriving. A lot of these people are arriving. There's whispers about even some of these big name studios starting to look in to say, okay, what can we do with this space? You know, how excited are you? Are you cautious?
I'm excited and I'm a bit cautious, to be honest, because if these big names come in and we don't have our act together, we don't have anyone saying, okay, this is what we're going to do and this is what we're not going to settle for, then we will just end up being taken advantage of and just taking whatever we're given. But if we actually have our unions and our guilds set up by then, structured, the industry is structured by then it will be fantastic for Nollywood. It will be fantastic either way, but it will be better if the guilds are set up by then and active. Set up and active.
All right, thank you very much, Ikechukwu, and please come back when we call you.
Thank you.
We're going to go on a break and be right back. Please don't go.
Don't just stand there teasing me. Now it's time to show and prove.
Nollywood is so big an industry, embracing newcomers daily across board. And there are more platforms now to tell stories. Mike Godson, who's a Nollywood darling, guides us through the structure in how Nollywood works, the stories that must be told, the people behind the stories. How has 2020 been in general to the Nigerian creative? Up next, Ibuka chats with actor Mike Godson on Rubbin Minds.
Welcome back. You're still watching Rubbin Minds, and I'm joined now by superstar, Nollywood's finest. I was going to say Nollywood's bad boy, but I don't know if you're a bad boy. Are you a good or a bad boy?
I'm a good boy.
That's how you put God in your name.
I'm a good boy.
Mike Godson, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Very well. Good to see you. Thanks a lot for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Doing great things in the industry. How long have you been in the industry for?
I've been around for a while, actually. I've been around I got my break in 2010, actually. Yeah, I did a movie called 7 Books of Moses, and it just went everywhere. So I've been around since that time, yeah.
So we're talking at least 10 years.
Yeah.
What's the biggest change you've noticed in 10 years in the industry?
A lot has changed, actually. I mean, I tell people that Nollywood has traveled into different territories around the world, putting us on that global map, and I'm actually very happy to be part of this change. Our productions are better. We have very strong and enlightened filmmakers in the business right now. We have a lot of investors. So a lot has changed, actually. Yeah.
So we have talked a lot about money and investments and all of that
right.
in this episode so far. And I want to hear from you now as an actor, because there's always this conversation about, there's a lot of money in Nollywood. We hear billions of dollars, 5% of GDP or whatever percentage it is. But a lot of actors still complain a lot about the fact that it doesn't seem to reflect in their pockets. What is the case, and why do you think that is?
Well, I tell people that Nollywood is big business. I tell people that in terms of entertainment, Nollywood is a big market, and we have, over the years, I think we have attracted investors down here. We have strong or huge content acquisitors who fund most of our productions, and they get producers. They get producers and give them monies to put together like productions for TV. I myself, I'm going to speak for myself now. I don't know about other actors, but I've been working, and I get paid, and I want to believe that if you're smart in the industry, right, you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket, right? If you have a flair for other careers, I think you should also do them. Like myself, I'm a businessman. I'm not just an actor. I have a company I run. So if I'm not making money in the industry, I have somewhere else I'm making money. So I think it's a general problem that it's actually a big puzzle that I don't know how to crack it. So yeah.
I mean, it's a little curious. You hear people in other industries. I mean, Hollywood is a high benchmark, but I mean, with Hollywood, you hear actors who do a movie a year, and they're good, and they disappear, and Bollywood is even doing amazing things now. How do you think this money conversation can start shifting to a place where, I mean, you guys putting a lot of work? And like we know now, it's a very popular industry. It's number 2 in the world. Right. We see the numbers on Netflix where people are watching from amazing, strange countries, the kind of interest that Nollywood has. So the eyeballs are there. Right. So what do you think needs to start happening for your pockets to start, being as happy?
Now, speaking about, you made mention of Hollywood. I think we haven't gotten to that level yet. We're still doing our own stories, our type of stories. Do you understand? Which is very relatable to us as a people. I feel like we're still growing, and I want to be very hopeful that one day we'll get to that point where...
it's a slow growth, you don't think?
It is a slow growth, actually, because as an actor, people expect to see you a certain way. They expect you to drive big cars, you're supposed to live in a big house, but it's not really like that. Do you understand? Forget about the hype, forget about everything. I feel like if you work hard enough, you should be able to live right, but not... They shouldn't see people like the Dangotes of this world. Do you understand? But I believe, I'm being hopeful that over time things will get better. Yeah.
There's a lot of accusations with actors now, especially the younger ones like you who are in the industry now, about the fact that there's a lot more emphasis on the show than the business. They call some of you, maybe not you, sort of Instagram actors, where there's a lot more emphasis on, putting out the pictures and the gloss, why not sort of perfecting your craft? Do you think that's a fact? Do you think that's a problem?
You called it show business. Yes. Right now, some people say there's the show and there's the business. Now, some people tell you, oh, they have to show to get, the business part done. I've never been that actor who thinks like that.
You have over 1 million followers, I believe. I'm not accusing you of that.
Right.
I mean, you have over 1 million followers. There must be a perception of you or why they follow you for that. Your page is quite impressive. You show off yourself. Do you feel the need to do that part?
I don't feel the need. I feel like I'm being myself.
Yes.
If you look at me from when I started acting up until now, I've always been myself. I don't try to show off. I'm one of those actors who don't really put out things or put out my achievements for the world to see, because I feel like it doesn't concern anybody. So I'm myself. I don't have to show you anything, but it doesn't mean I don't have them. Did you understand? So I feel like people who feel comfortable in that space and they feel like it's good for them to show off so that they can make money or become influencers or whatever. I mean, that's, if it's good for them, then that's cool.
Do you think we've lost sort of storytelling ability as Africans? Because that has also come up a lot on this show and generally, where they said, okay, Nollywood started up a certain way. We told very authentic stories, which is why it became very popular across the world.
Right.
Because it was very original.
Right.
Now there's been a tilt to more comedy and a lot of romantic drama.
Yeah.
Which could be any country.
Right.
Romantic dramas are very sort of, there's nothing, quote unquote, authentically Nigerian about romantic dramas.
Right.
Do you think we've kind of lost the plot?
I wouldn't think so, because I feel like an actor gets his script and he gets paid and he gets on set, whether or not it's a village story or contemporary. Do you get? But I'll speak for myself. One of I feel like what actually projected me to the world is telling African stories.
Yes.
I like to play village roles. Those are the kind of roles that really brought me out. Yeah, it's called, epic, yeah. So those are the kind of stories that really brought me out. And I like to do them because they tell our stories as Africans.
So where I talked about 2010 to 2020, where do you want to see, not just Mike Godson now, the industry going? Because yes, Nollywood is definitely not what it was in '92. Definitely isn't what it was in 2010. Right. There's a huge sort of growth that we've seen, but there's also sort of a consensus with people that it doesn't seem to be growing as quickly as we want it to. The music industry seems to be doing amazing. I mean, a lot of people are sustaining their lives just being musicians in Nigeria now. We can't seem to see a lot of that for actors. Where do you want to see Nollywood? Do you think we're heading there?
But yeah, I mean, I see Nollywood going farther, than it has gone already. I feel like we have to keep changing the narrative. You understand? People already know us. I travel around the world and I get love from a lot of people. So it shows that people love us and people love what we do. Do you understand? We have lots of brilliant filmmakers in the business now. People like Mo Abudu, Ememi Song, to name a few, to get, and they're doing amazingly well. So I see Nollywood growing and going to places, to be very honest.
How have you coped with COVID? Because most people have not worked literally since March. Or some people all year even. How has money come in? How have you been able to diversify? If it's a passion, some people say if you're passionate about something, your hand goes to scratch because you're not doing that thing you love.
I know. It's to be honest, it was a bad time. Honestly, it took everybody unawares. Yeah. In fact, we were the first people who started the lockdown, because you remember we had attended the AMVCA and the Lagos state government had put out a post to tell us, okay, whoever was there, go, yeah. So we started the lockdown until the whole of Lagos joined, the whole of the world and everything. So it was a bad time for everybody. It affected myself as a businessman because I couldn't deliver products to some of the companies I supplied to. And I wasn't making money because, the pandemic affected all, the industries, cinemas, revenues, everything. But I mean, we're still alive. We're still surviving, yeah.
Anything we should be looking forward to, Mike Godson, the rest of the year or coming soon?
Oh yeah, I've actually been working on a few projects and very soon the world will see it. Yeah.
Did everyone to give us a small hint of the name?
No names.
Well, thank you for being here today.
I appreciate it.
Definitely appreciate you coming.
Thank you very much.